Hello, everybody. This here is Slayer Joe 31, and yeah, a lot's been happening lately. I just got off a freaking 14-hour shift yesterday, and I'm freaking tired. But I've been wanting to make this video for a little while. I wanted to give my thoughts about so-called indie animation. But first, let me crack open a beer. For those of you asking, it's light beer, so you can relax. But anyway, before I start, I just want to be clear: this ain't gonna be an in-depth analysis of a lot of indie shows. We're gonna stick to ones that I've actually watched. So, we're not going to go into super in-depth about each episode or analysis or any crap. I'm just going to give my own observations and my own opinions, and you guys can make whatever the hell you want about it. Anyway, so we're mainly going to be talking about Hell of a Boss that I used to watch with Del Fox. Fuck that prick, by the way. Fucking chink. And we're also going to be talking about SMG4's Digital Circus, and a little bit about SMG4 himself, and as well as about the creator. And then we're also going to talk about Flash Gitz' Space King and how it differs from those two. Okay, so getting into Hell of a Boss, I was pretty hesitant about it, considering, it's about demons and hell, and a lot of that stuff really kind of goes against, just basic organized Christianity, or I should say Orthodox, because contemporary Christianity is just kind of whatever hippie bullshit, whatever feel good, Jesus loves you all, Jesus died for your sins, hate is wrong, and all that feel good crap. It's why it's one of the reasons why when you look at contemporary worship songs, it's all, people say it's like a freaking it's a freaking glorified rock concert. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not really worshiping Jesus, I don't want to say that because that was the kind of crap I grew up in, for better or worse. Nowadays I'm going to a Lutheran church where it's traditional hymnals, a little Asian lady playing on an organ, nice stuff. Real good old-fashioned traditional Christian worship, Orthodox, Protestant, I should say. Not just whatever Christian is supposed to mean today, because the meanings, it's like the traditional meaning is that it was meant to be an insult, little Christ, But our ancestors, the apostles, and their brethren, their brothers and sisters, they adopted that name. They were adopted into the fold of the Lord Jesus Christ, adopted into salvation as heirs, reigning with Jesus Christ. Anyway, so they took up that name. Or at least that's what I was taught, early on. Anyway, it's like I remember, I was hesitant because, like, the only other kind of stuff that I knew about shows that push demonic, or demonic characters, I guess, and as well as pagan ideas, although I wasn't aware of it at the time, was like Lucifer. So I think this was back in like 2012 when I saw the promos. Of course, this kind of stuff was going on for years before that. I think there was a classic rock song by one of those so-called I'm not sure what the term is. One of those old-fashioned, one of those bands you used to listen to, that push stuff against the establishment, has said they were against that crap, you know, and they got all kinds of deals and crap, and then like freaking 40 years later, they're the ones pushing for government propaganda. The same people who raised against the machine are the same people telling us to get the freaking jab, or at least back then. But yeah, bunch of freaking hypocrites, bunch of money whores. Whatever they meant back then, whether it was true or not, they've turned their backs on it. What the hell was I saying? Forgive me, Lord. Yeah. So, yeah, the basically Lucifer pushed the idea of having Satan as the main character and angels and God as the bad guys. And we see this, and I've seen this, and this trend has kind of gone on with other media, like Preacher. That was another one here. I think it was called Sinners. Yeah, Sinners. Apparently that's anti-white propaganda. I haven't seen much of that, but I haven't really seen any of that, and I really don't care to. But yeah, I don't doubt that it probably is. It's like it always pushes the same theme. You know, hell and Satan good. You know, heaven and God bad. Like they might not even be pushing really the idea of Satanism and paganism and stuff like that, but it's more so just anti-God, anti-traditional Christianity. And when you look at the world today, when you see all this, lust, depravity, vulgarity, pornography, crime, pedophilia, freaking greed, corruption, all that crap is of this world. All that crap is from Satan. You know, he's called the father of lies. And they say the greatest lie he ever pulled was him convincing the world that he didn't exist. I mean, think about it. If you've got a malignant cancer or a malignant tumor in your body, are you going to blame the doctor for telling you? Okay. You know, people, if you've got a malignant tumor in you and the doctor doesn't tell you so as not to make you worry or fear, and tells you can live however you want, you know, what the hell's going to be the end result? Now, I'm not saying I want like freaking authoritarianism and crap like that. But I'm saying, you know, we've gone too far away from God, and we've done the bidding of these freaking our culture has been hijacked from us. We've gotten too much into depravity, and let's not pretend that the people pushing it didn't all fit a certain MO. They all had big freaking noses. They all had the same goal in mind, and they were all paid by the same people. Essentially. Maybe not true in every case, but you get the idea. Anyway. So yeah, getting back to Hell of a Boss, yeah. The main thing you would probably notice is that, you know, it's become a meme at this point, where they literally cannot go 5 seconds without saying fuck this, shit that, dick, bitch, pussy, cock, and all other kinds of freaking swear words. Like, they literally cannot go 5 seconds without cursing. You know, I mean, there's probably a point to having cursing to establish a point, like enough. But I mean, especially if you're on freaking YouTube nowadays and you're worried about them, you know, freaking think they're stupid AI thinking you're not an adult. So yeah. But anyway, we'll get into that later. So yeah, but it's literally everywhere. I mean, the more you use something, the more you overuse something, the the less meaning it has. Even in today's culture, you got kids. I remember there was a video of a black mom and her 4-year-old kid, causing trouble at I think it was a McDonald's in Chicago, and this 4-year-old little kid was shouting, "Shut the fuck up, bitch!" Oh, it was a lot more high pitched than that, but holy crap. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I'm some pillar of morality myself. Lord knows I've failed a lot in that regard, and in others, to say the least. But holy crap! What the hell? What's the point of having standards if we're not gonna? What even are standards at this point? Do we want kids swearing and calling each other bitch and nigga and cracker and stuff like that in kindergarten? The other thing, the only parts I really liked about that show were the action sequences. That was stuff I actually liked. And there were some, it did go into some emotional stuff, dealing with trauma, how you can end up pushing people away, whether you meant to or not. Little things like that, and I can kind of relate to it a little bit, Of course, looking back at it now, I can't help but think my old friend he saw a lot of himself in what's his name? I forget the main character, the tall guy. I really don't remember. But yeah. No. I hope he gets better. My former friend, I hope he can get the help he needs. I hope he can stop treating people like shit and gaslighting them and doing all that shit. If he comes to me one day and says, Joe, I'm sorry I treated you like shit. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Then I'll forgive him. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna just let him freaking treat me like a damn puppet and do all that crap he did before. Unless as far as we're concerned, he's dead to me. Anyway, what else was? Yeah. Oh yeah, they also had rampant homosexuality. I think there was one episode where the other two characters, who were married to each other, by the way, and at one point one of the characters was kidnapped and was gonna be forcefully married to the guy. If you've noticed enough things, you'll know who it is that's pushing this degenerate, homosexual, anti-Christian agenda. Anyway, so yeah, moving on to Gooseworks' Digital Circus, sponsored and made of course by Gooseworks and sponsored published by freaking Glitch Productions, who for those of you who know was made by SMG4. I used to watch that. I think I discovered that guy back in either 2020, I don't know, 2017, maybe 2019. But yeah, I watched some of his older videos. Man, that was good. Just classic slapstick, throwing in some memes here and there, blowing things up. That was funny, man. But things kind of changed over time. Started adding more weird side characters, and I didn't mind it early on, but overall things kind of started take a different kind of tone. I think the last major thing of his I watched was the Waluigi Apocalypse or whatever it was called. And yeah, things really started to take a turn. Sometime after he started producing his own show called Murder Drones, I never really cared to look into it. I just kind of wanted to keep watching SMG4. Yeah, sometime after that, I think a few years, he started making the Digital Circus with Gooseworks. I heard about it, but I didn't really care about it. I mean, to me, it was just some more colorful, just another colorful millennial era, colorful millennial made crap, I guess. Just some other dumb show on YouTube that I don't care about. You know. I think after a while, I think I started to discover some clips of it from the algorithm, I think. Sorry about that. Yeah, I started watching some clips and memes. Oh yeah. I think it was Med Excalibur when he made that video of TF2 characters interacting with those with those characters, like Heavy turning, ripping Jax's head off and turning him into a hat, or Ragatha turning into Saxon Hale and punching out Kane. Yeah, it was good. I think it kind of started from there. That just kind of took off. And I gotta call myself out here. I feel like every time I get into something new, it's like I get this childlike enthusiasm. I don't want to freaking say it's a good thing. I've noticed this among millennials, or other millennials, I should say. It's like when you get into something, you really it's like you get this overwhelming positivity. It's something new, something bright, something nice. It's like I think that's what they call the honeymoon effect. Everything's all bright and shiny and happy. Nothing can go wrong. And then after a while, that effect fades. The honeymoon ends, and you have to adjust to married life. It comes with its growing pains, and that's something you have to deal with. Although I think in this case, it's the creator who's looking for a divorce. It's like I haven't watched any commentary from her, but from all the things I've heard, from all the interactions she's had with fans, or the things I've been hearing about, how she keeps, how she's been, like she's been mistreated by the fans, where all the fans are just rabid, getting freaking worshiping assholes like Jax, and even though he's a little shit, he's an evil little shit who reminds me a lot of Delphox, come to think of it. But yeah, I tell you, freaking fans, man. Like, they will freaking, I mean, to be completely fair, like, a lot of this was made for like freaking Tumblr fans, Tumblr users back in the day. So like, I remember back when I used to freaking watch Steven Universe. Ugh. It hurts just to say it, but but I gotta come clean. It's like I watched it early on, like back in the early season when it was still on Cartoon Network. I felt, it's like I thought it was nice, early on. But then they started peeling back the curtain, started showing you what it was really about, what their whole thing was, about all their homosexuality, gender fluidity, and freaking love is love bullshit. Forgive me, Lord. Yeah, it's no surprise that they went fully woke and anti-racist later on. Of course, looking back at it now, knowing that they were made by a freaking Jew who later came out as bisexual, you know, that should tell you something. I feel sick to myself that knowing that I ever fawned over that crap. Jesus Lord. I feel like I'm just a freaking goy. You know, like all this crap is by design, and you know, it's like sticking a carrot in front of a donkey. He'll walk towards that carrot and he'll keep going, not realizing that he's never gonna get the freaking carrot. You know, I feel like, I don't know, maybe that's not the right comparison, but I feel like that's what it is. That's what it is. You get excited for this thing, you watch it, enjoy it, make comments about it, buy merchandise of it. And then eventually it ends, something new comes along, and the cycle repeats. Oh yeah, speaking of Jews, a large amount of inspiration for the digital circus is drawn from a novel, as well as a video game adaptation of it from called "I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream," made by Harlan Ellison. Surprise, surprise! Imagine what. Yeah, I checked his early life, and surprise, surprise. Why am I not freaking surprised? Yeah. So it makes sense that they push. Apparently, one of their characters is implied to be a tranny. Another's a freaking manga nerd. Then you have the stereotypical straight man. You know, someone who's always kind and nice and stuff like that. I want to say that's what you'd call a Mary Sue, but I don't. But I'm not too sure. I don't know. Like early on, they can appear weak and timid and afraid, and then they start to grow. That's one thing. But yeah, I've noticed that in a lot of this media, they always emasculate men. Like they're not, they don't take a dominant role. They don't take a, they don't. They're used for comedy relief, or for slapstick, or for something else that's less than flattering. But yeah, it goes back into this destruction of the nuclear family, where men were the kings of their castles. They ran their houses well. Their women were subservient, and they weren't annoying and nagging or abusive. They didn't slap their husbands. They didn't get uppity. They didn't mistreat their children. A lot of times they were just staying at home doing making sure the family's well cared for and everything. Now, to be completely fair, I'm not totally against the idea of a woman working. If she's got a family, that's a different matter. And yeah, I know that back in the day, the when women were entering into the workforce, it caused more competition with jobs. It caused more competition among jobs because they were competing with men. Yeah, that's before you throw all the foreigners and illegals into the mix, as well as AI. But we're getting off topic. So yeah, the creator wants nothing more to do with the show, and I honestly don't blame her. I mean, freaking it's like you interact with these fans, it's like they constantly bug you with questions and ideas and theories, and if you step out of line or say something they don't like, they'll be all over you. It's this kind of. I'll fiddle up. It's this kind of toxic popularity in fandoms that ruin good shows. Like I remember even back with RWBY. Like I never got past the third season with that because that was when they started falsely accusing Vic Mignogna of sexual assault. Bunch of damn broads. But yeah, I found out later on that two of the characters turned lesbian and kind of fell for each other mostly because it was a popular fan ship at the time, because fans shipped them together. It's like, I mean, there is such a thing as fan service, and maybe taking in a little inspiration from fans if you think it's good. But stuff like this, where it just contributes to degradation, it's another thing that freaking ruins what was once good shows. Of course, RWBY was already long on its way out by that point. The freaking creator died. I think before or sometime during season 3. I honestly don't remember. But yeah, that show was already on its way out. Can't say it'll be missed. Not in that state anyway. But yeah, when you let fans dictate what you make, what you write, and what you do, I feel like it'll only end up being for the worse. It's gonna be ending this time in June, so whether it has a happy ending or not, I guess you'll see. Part of me doesn't really care to watch it anymore because, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, as it turns out, this and probably the rest, all of Glitch Productions media, is funded by the freaking Australian government. Whoop-de-freaking-do. The same people who brag about the same people who are lauded by their fans as being strong, independent indie creators are themselves taking money from the freaking government. I mean, this is the same kind of idea that when that pushed freaking what was it called? That pushed the like in Britain when they made Pathways, where Amelia was originally from. She was meant to be the villain, for those of you guys who don't remember. But yeah, they used taxpayer money to create that propaganda slop. And it was only because people actually fell in love and liked Amelia for what she was that they ended up claiming her as their own and turned her into a symbol of resistance. Or no, not resistance, rebellion. Yeah, rebellion. Sorry, I hate the word resistance because it's been used by the left a lot. Back when they were whining about President Trump being this great divider. It's actually kind of funny looking back on it now, seeing what's going on. But yeah. So yeah, this, pathways, and there was something else I was gonna mention, but it slipped my mind right now. So, another state-sponsored media, you know, it all pushes the same methods. It all pushes the same crap. I mean, the digital circus isn't woke by any means, as far as I can tell, aside from just having the same progressive crap, its characters and themes. Oh no, hate is a bad thing. Hate is wrong. Love everyone. Treat everyone nice. But that's bullcrap. Like the Stone Choir taught me, hate is biblical. Psalm 139 verse 22 states, I will hate them with perfect hatred, and count them mine enemies. Hatred of evil is neither wrong nor sinful. It's right. It's a necessity. And woe to those who call evil good and good evil. Anyway, now that we're done with that part, let's finally get into the part I like. Space King. Space King is vulgar also, and they have a lot of edgy humor, which isn't really a bad thing in my book. Let's be honest. I really like Hate Monger overall. He's kind of meant to be. I remember I was watching this one video from this. I want to say he was a moderate, but he kind of seemed a little bit of an SJW. This one guy, Warhammer fan. Excuse me. And yeah, he. It's like he called Hate Monger a parody of right-wing grifters and crap, which I don't really think does Hate Monger any justice. He's meant to be the person who says things like they are. Making thinly veiled jokes against freaking minorities and women and crap like that. And if you look into what's permeated into the freaking the Warhammer franchise with women, wheelchairs, minorities, and crap like that, so I think you'd understand, why he hates it so much, and who could blame him? Yeah, another thing they do is like they do. I think in the very first episode they had that big alien mother with the big honkin' with the big zongas and stuff like that. Yeah. They push an uncensored version behind their Patreon. Oh, and they also drew the main character's cocks, so there's that too. Although to be they did make a Jew joke about with having this one character, I think in episode 2. Yeah, it was episode 2, which is pretty funny to me. Although at the same time, one thing I did notice with their whole methodology, and again, this is taken kinda from Warhammer, but I'm not an expert on Warhammer lore or anything like that. Like the only freaking Warhammer media the only Warhammer game I've ever played was freaking Vermintide. So yeah, I think I did play Space Hulk Deathwing, but that's about it as well. Yeah, they what the hell was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I remember now. Yeah, the way they make new Psycho Warriors was they have a machine that freaking that freaking sucks the testicles off young boys and plants the globules into them, turning them into the hulking masses, overriding the boys' memories and replacing them with those of the psycho warriors on the globules. It sounds like something. It sounds like something that the Harvey Weinstein and his ilk would. It sounds like some Jeffrey Epstein type of bullshit. If I'm being honest with you. But maybe, like, I hope I'm wrong on this, but yeah, that's some pretty edgy. That's some pretty edgy stuff. But yeah, no. It's like, obviously they're not immune to criticism either. I remember this one guy I was watching said that when they got an offer from a network, they made a whole freaking video about it, talking about what they did after they declined it. And for those of you wondering, that network was none other than Netflix. They didn't want Space King to turn fake and gay. I mean, freaking Vizzy Pop sold Has-Been Hotel, and I don't know, probably Hell of a Boss too. I'm not sure. I don't really care. Gooseworks gave them the rights to air it on Netflix, though she still has creative control over it. Space King said, no, screw you. We're gonna do our own thing. And to me, that takes balls. And yeah, they did use that as an opportunity to plug in a merch drop, but I wish I could see this. I wish I could see a GIF of this Hate Mace Enema sending it. It's like, imagine being an intern for Netflix, and every time someone buys a T-shirt or a figurine or whatever, you open up your emails and you see a talking TV remote getting an enema from Hate Monger and his Hate Mace. But anyway, yeah, a lot of this stuff that gets praised for being indie really isn't indie anymore. This same kind of crap applies to video games, and Game of the Year awards and crap like that. It's like, when it's not people who play the games, but freaking spokespersons, representatives, and crap who select who gets the awards and who doesn't. At that point, it's not an award show. It's just a freaking I'm not even sure what to call it. It's like some kind of freaking humiliation ceremony for the people watching it and the people who don't win. It's like, I remember Mike Menser. He that was one of the reasons he left weightlifting as a sport, because it was rigged against him by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Those of you guys who know, Arnold was friends with the judges, and they were saying that if Mike simply said, "Hey, congratulations, Arnold," then he would have won next year's tournament. But Mike didn't do that crap. He called out that bullshit before it happened, and he called it out then. And he died early on because something he loved was freaking corrupted and rigged against him by some fucking cheater who went on to score big in Hollywood, and it even got to be governor of a state for a time. Fucking prick. While Mike went to live on and die at the age of like 45 or 48 due to sheer bitterness. I can't say I blame him, really. Serious fuck Arnold Schwarzenegger, man. To hell with that guy. But yeah, sorry this video went on a lot of tangents. I'll probably have to chop up some bits and pieces to keep it, to keep it from droning on too long. But yeah, that's just generally my thoughts about, I guess media in general. A lot of thoughts and observations. And if you guys like any of this stuff, whatever. I don't really freaking care. Just be aware that the crap you like isn't gonna be freaking perfect, and it's always gonna be criticized, fairly or not. And don't go freaking flaming. Don't go freaking. And just because one person says something you don't like, it doesn't mean you and like a bunch of freaking. Actually, why the hell am I even saying this? You guys aren't like that. And these fuckers wouldn't watch my videos unless they like hate watching me or anything. But yeah, I've seen the way they go after these people. They just. It's like I remember. Like there was a chick who in the Steven Universe fandom who got driven to attempt suicide on herself because she drew a picture of a character in a sundress, but she drew her thinner than how she appeared because she always wore a large dress. They took that as a freaking as a dog whistle that she was fat phobic. They freaking flamed her. I'm serious. Fuck these leftists, man. Fuck these Tumblr users. To hell with all of them. To hell with these toxic fandoms. I wish Gooseworks the best of lucks after the shitty circus show ends. Well, actually maybe it wasn't that shitty, but now you get the idea. The real circus was what was happening outside of it. So I hope you all have a great week. I'm still try to keep up with things. I'll get back to working on things sooner or later. Till then, hope you all have a great time and a great day. Keep on keeping on, guys. God bless you. Thanks for making it this far if you have. And may God be with you all. See ya.